Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Well,
we sound a little different. The headphones, these headphones sound different.
Well, I've got you turned up a little bit much there.
That's the headphones. You need the other one.
Oh.
I think I'm too hot and you're either too far back or too
there we
low.
go. Yeah, that is me.
I fixed it.
Thank you.
Adam seems low though.
1 2 1 2
No,
1
that's
2.
his headphones. We're good.
Okay.
Really?
We're good.
Okay.
Norm's happy. Well, hello, gentlemen.
Should we start over?
No.
Okay.
Why?
We show the work on Tested.
Okay. We all make mistakes. That's the moral of the
Tested's not a
story.
how-to channel. It's a what the hell just happened channel.
How did
Hey,
I mess this up?
they saw the title of this podcast. They're sticking around.
Yes.
The flubbing over the first minute and a half isn't going to stop them.
Okay.
and
from
this is
listening.
not the only. You said this just before we started recording.
This seems like a thing that we're going to spend a fair amount of time talking about because I expect to see this movie at least once more and probably twice.
I just saw it 2 nights ago with Kishore, and I'm definitely going again. Maybe even next week when I'm in New York.
So a little bit of housekeeping. As we're recording this, Avengers Endgame has just come out. It's been opening weekend, but we're releasing this 1 week later. So hopefully most of you out there have had a chance to see the movie once or twice. We will be doing some spoiler-free impressions very quickly because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, so
And
maybe
then
like
we're
5
right
minutes
in.
of that, and then we're jumping right into
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's safe to assume that everybody saw this already, given the box office numbers. Because like they basically outdid the DCEU in the first weekend with this movie. Like
Well, I remember when Force Awakens was coming out, right? And it's the first Star Wars movie in a long time. Everyone was super excited, and we had to talk about how much money can this movie potentially make in a weekend. And well, how many seats are there? Because it's going to fill every seat. It's going to make all the money.
1,000 theaters.
And for that one, it made $250 million an opening weekend, which is astounding. Infinity War made just about the same. This movie made $350 million. There were $100 million on the table still.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
Yeah. And then they opened. Anyway, it made a boatload of money. We don't care about money. How'd you like the movie, guys? You think it was okay? You think people should go watch it?
I think people should go watch it. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go see it. You don't necessarily need to see the other films to enjoy this film, but boy, it helps.
So, Gina had missed. Gina falls asleep in superhero movies sometimes when we watch them at home.
Julia does too. Often at the beginning of Act 3. It's usually the Act 3 action sequence in which my wife falls asleep.
Your wife and my wife very similar because that is exactly. Gina's like, man, the first half of Thor Ragnarok is amazing, and then as soon as they get to the part on the bridge, she's like. So we watched. Let's see, we watched Civil War, Ragnarok, and Infinity War. And those were the three. After I went through and watched a bunch more because I'm a huge nerd.
Right.
But I think that's a pretty good lead-in because that gives you the backstory. It lets you know what's going on with the Avengers. Lets you know what's going on with Thor and the Hulk.
Those are good.
Then you roll into the Infinity War business.
Well, Julie and I went and saw Captain Marvel, which we loved. She loved. It was the first Act 3 she didn't fall asleep during. And then we came home and we were so jazzed of that version of the MCU that we immediately came home and watched over the next several days. We watched Guardians 1 and 2 and Ragnarok and then Infinity War. And then I also watched Civil War in the prep. But did you watch them all in the last couple of weeks?
No.
Oh,
I think
I was
the
going to
right
expect that of you.
Will did the right preparation. I think the Russo brothers did this. This is their fourth Marvel movie. They did Winter Soldier, then Civil War, then Infinity War Part 1, or Infinity War, and then Endgame. What I was going to say is that you're exactly right. Like, you don't need to see everyone. You get the most benefit out of seeing everyone. And what I really appreciated about Endgame is that it felt like a different movie from an Infinity War. When Marvel and Kevin Feige announced Infinity War, they announced it originally as Part 1 and Part 2. And that led a lot of people to believe, they're making one big movie cutting in half, like they did with The Hobbit, like they did with a bunch of other big franchises, Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter. But it really became real. Once watching this film, not only, yes, it is two parts of a bigger story, right? It is Thanos, Infinity Stones, all that jazz, a direct continuation. But tonally, emotionally, it is a very different movie, even though all the same players are there, the same production team, the same composer. And I mean,
they were shot back to back.
They were shot back to back.
And it feels like a substantively different movie. There's a lot more. I like this movie. First up, my first impression, I liked it better than Infinity War.
I think it's my favorite Avengers. I love the first one. Second one, we all know how I feel about the second one.
Ultron?
Take or leave. Ultron.
Yeah,
it's
no,
fine.
it's not.
Hey, there were good callbacks too.
Yeah, so the thing about this film is like they said they were going to put a bow on the whole MCU up to this point,
and they really did.
and it felt like both a celebration of this thing that's been going on for 10 or 11 years now.
Almost very self-aware of that.
And
yeah.
Also, like, I really approve. So we'll get to spoilers. We're still talking impressions, but I thought that the way in which they put a bow on the entire MCU, all 21 films plus this one, was really well done. And I know the word the phrase fan service gets bandied around both as an explanatory phrase, but also as an insulting phrase sometimes. I thought this was a great example of them. You know, I could see them sitting around in a room, Feige and his team going, all right, well, we really want to hit these marks, but we don't want it to feel like we're just hitting them just to hit them. And it really didn't. It really felt like
They were culminations. They were earned.
Yeah, we were getting full arcs. And
The fan service felt entirely earned and was lovely and felt impactful in a way that it often doesn't.
This was the first time I cosplayed to a film screening. I put on my Civil War Captain America suit.
The best Captain America suit.
It is my favorite.
Yeah.
It is my favorite, except for one in this film, which
Fair.
is the next suit that I've ordered, and I'll talk about that once
Okay.
we're talking spoilers.
Okay.
And then Kishore also came out with me, and he wore his Infinity War Captain America suit.
So somebody asked me on Twitter if they needed to see Captain Marvel before they see Endgame. I think it doesn't hurt. Like
It certainly doesn't hurt.
Captain
It's-
Marvel is great. We haven't talked about it on the podcast because
love that
schedule's been
movie.
bad.
Yeah.
But like that third act turn when No Doubt comes on and she's just like, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But
It
to answer
gives
the question,
chills.
it does also work after Endgame as a nice background story as well.
And the thing you need to know is that Captain Marvel is an absolute badass, and she lives in space. And if you know those two things, you got the gist.
Yeah.
You got the important bits.
The interesting production thing for Captain Marvel was Brie Larson filmed Endgame before Captain Marvel.
Oh, really?
And it was very different from the production of, let's say, Civil War, where the Russo brothers cast Peter Parker, Tom Holland. They cast Black Panther before Ryan Coogler was brought in, before Spider-Man: Homecoming. So they created those characters in a vacuum. With Captain Marvel, they knew they were going to do a Captain Marvel movie, but the backstory hadn't been written. And so Brie Larson filmed her scenes in Endgame without the experience of having filmed Captain Marvel. And so
she knew what I just said. She knew she's an ultimate badass.
So also if you watch that movie in reverse, the release Endgame first, then Captain Marvel, you actually get to see Brie Larson become the character more.
Right. Wow.
So there was an article about Captain Marvel in this movie where they talked about like the continuity. Like she wears a lot of makeup and has different styling and stuff in Endgame than in Captain Marvel, and they talked about that. It was really fascinating. It was interesting because they also made it clear that the actors, the performers, are allowed to own a lot of the look and feel of the characters.
Right.
So things like how they're styled and like it helps them get into the.
They'll make a suggestion. Hey,
that,
maybe you should have a beard in this next one.
I remember it was as I was
beard.
watching Infinity War again. I was reading that the Russo brothers, when they brought in all the Wakanda cast for the big battle, they said up front to the cast, "Hey, we weren't on set for Black Panther, so we're going to rely on you guys as the canon repository of what these battles might look like, how these folks might behave. You got to help us build this action correctly."
That's awesome.
And the actors were all incredibly complimentary about how it made them feel super part of the process. I mean, the thing is, it's amazing to me hearing that about them casting these Tom Holland and these other actors before the other movies. Is it all like Tom Holland's amazing? All of these
Tom Holland
actors,
is the best Spider-Man ever. I mean, well, maybe not Miles.
To
Morales,
appreciate
but,
the
you know,
acting,
yeah.
like one, they film movies out of order, and
Right.
to hold a character and hold their emotion, the emotional
that's
journey,
really good direction,
right? That's impressive in acting and directing. But for someone like Brie Larson to come into an Infinity War where she's acting in the same room with other cast members who have embodied a character and have developed character for a decade, that's daunting. And to hold her own in that and to have it be fluid.
But did you
and
also
seamless.
hear that she was not able to see her script on Endgame? She was not able to see her script before coming into shoot. And when she came into shoot, she would have like a CIA redacted version where all the lines were black except for hers.
Oh my gosh.
So I guess a light comes on that tells her it's time to speak, or she knows
Say the
where
words.
Wow.
Yeah, they I also heard, did I hear that they shot a death scene for Paul Rudd, knowing that he might spoil it?
They shot death scenes for a ton of people, apparently.
That's hilarious.
So okay.
All right, are we ready?
I got one more big takeaway, and then we can go. The thing that amazed me going back and watching the first Iron Man, 10 years ago, a lifetime or two ago at this point, it feels like, and then this movie is how the look and feel, with a few notable exceptions, of those characters has remained really, really. It feels like part of a continuity, despite the fact that they've had 7 directors doing Iron Man in different movies, and different costumers and different set designers. It all feels contiguous in a way that I would, when they started doing this, it was one of the things we talked about. Is it even possible for them to maintain a look and feel and style across a decade with these characters? And they did it.
They totally did it. I came away from the film having it's often written when you write about great producers, people like Gale Ann Hurd and Kevin Feige, and articles come out about them. There's often a phrase in the article that says, like, not many people know what a producer really does. But then you look at a film like Endgame and you realize that Feige and his team conceptualized this, and I'm sure they gave themselves a lot of outs along the way of ways in which this might not go the way they planned, and yet, holy shit, it really did go the way they planned as a full arc.
At least it
22
felt like
films.
it had a plan. Yeah.
22 films, and I think I did the math last night, something like $4.5 billion worth of film making.
Yeah. So the theater that I went to see this in Japantown, because that's where I could get tickets on Friday after it opened. They had a sign on the door as you walked out that said, "Hey, don't talk about the film until you're out of the lobby."
Nice.
Because the people for the next showing were lined up.
Yeah.
There is literally nothing you can say about this film that's not going to spoil it, I think.
True,
Yeah.
really, truly.
3D, no 3D?
No 3D.
No 3D?
No, I didn't see it in 3D.
If I never see another 3D movie again, I'm probably okay.
I want to say one more thing about it for me is that it started right off the bat. I got choked up, and I got choked up at multiple points.
6 times?
6
6
for
times
you?
I cried.
Truly, and towards the end, there was just kept on being these moments where I'm just like openly weeping and then laughing hysterically. The film has so many great entrances and great drops and great jokes and great drama.
And the cadence, the up and the down and the up and down, they manage it. It's the thing they've always done well in the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But it goes from being super serious, they release the tension with a little bit of levity, and then it's back to super serious. And it's mwah.
Really,
It was
truly.
filmed entirely in IMAX, the second film to do so. The first one was Infinity War. So if you have an IMAX theater where you live, I would recommend seeing it there. You do get extra extra
I
aspect
got
ratio.
so that's all there is to it. When in New York on Wednesday, I'm just going to go see a matinee in the IMAX.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So spoiler time?
Let's do it.
All
right.
Don't spoil this for other people.
Don't.
If you haven't watched the movie, stop right now. Turn it off. Walk away.
Yeah, truly, you don't want to hear these spoilers. It's far more enjoyable if you go in as cold as humanly possible.
And like the number of times you're going to have an opportunity to see something cold that's been 10 years in the making, it's been building over such a long period of time with such weights in between. Enjoy it.
So how do you guys want to do this? Want to do it chronologically through the movie? And
Yeah,
talk about
let's
the big
start
beats?
in the beginning.
All right. So the movie opens with a kind of really cold open. It's Hawkeye and his family. You never saw Hawkeye in the last movie. You heard that he was under house arrest, but this is the family that was established in Age of Ultron. Call back to Age of Ultron.
One of the good things about Age of Ultron.
It is actually my favorite part about Age of Ultron is the retreat to Hawkeye's farm. The incredible actress Linda Cardellini from Freaks and Geeks and Mad Men, one of my favorite actresses going.
She's great.
She's phenomenal. She's not given a lot to do, but she does a tremendous amount with it. And you see him and his family teaching his daughter how to shoot a bow and arrow.
Yes. And
And you see he's got an ankle monitor on.
He does.
They look, that amount of filmmaking in the first 40 seconds of that movie. It's like, hey, here's some story. Some shit's gone down for Hawkeye, man. Clint's had a bad couple of months.
But already
It's about to
immediately,
get real
tonally,
bad.
it's grounded.
Right.
It's in Missouri. It's on a farm. It's not in space. It's about the impact that the snap had on the real world.
Everybody else.
But again,
Yeah.
So Clint's teaching his daughter. She goes to pick up the arrow. He turns around. His daughter's gone. His whole family's gone. And you realize that you're watching the moment of the snap.
And that's when the Marvel logo.
And that's when I first I was just like, I mean, so choked up.
So that at that moment I was like, oh right, the people who got snapped are the lucky ones here, because like the mental anguish on you as a normal human, assuming you're not a superhero, like you're in New York and New York is exploding and fire all around you. That's something your brain knows how to understand. It's a disaster, right? Well, if you're out there with your family alone and all of a sudden they're all gone and you have no idea what the fuck's gone on, that is a terrifying, heartbreaking.
Yeah,
like, it's intense.
And they really made that after all the fire and bombast of Infinity War with the snap.
That was much worse.
There were watching Clint's family disappear when he wasn't looking in the right direction.
It's the most normal experience, and it really harkens to The Leftovers, so the HBO show, which is about the quote unquote rapture. Everyone disappears, and in that show, you have one of the characters whose entire family disappeared, and she's especially unlucky. Because not everyone, if it's a random disappearance, to have your entire family, and Hawkeye is especially unlucky. If half the universe is gone at random, and your entire four members of your family, that's right.
I also realized, I always appreciate in sequels where the filmmakers take care to reset your expectations at the beginning of the film, right? Like it's a hard thing to do. You're picking up where someone else left off.
Especially when it picks up the moment of the end of the climax of the last movie.
Exactly. So again, that followed by the next scene,
which
or
is
the
Tony
next
Stark,
scenes.
which is him and Nebula on the Benatar, and he is teaching her how to play some football.
And Dukes. We used to. So
we
I grew up.
Dukes?
That's what we called it in Westchester County in the 70s. We called it Dukes football. You folded up a triangle and you shot it.
We did a ground game too. So you slide it on the table across and you try to get it over the edge.
Well, so once you get it over the edge, then you get to shoot for the touchdown.
That's the extra point.
Yeah, that's the extra point. So I loved watching Nebula be pointlessly competitive. She was so enjoyable.
And also, she wins, and she graciously wins, and that's not something that she has experience with, right? When Tony Stark puts his hand out, fair game, you won. She's like, "Wow, no, this is I don't get this."
she's used to someone stepping on her face.
She looked at his hand and is like, it's.
And in a movie where yes, it's different from before Infinity War because it's about the core Avengers. It's about Tony Stark, Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow, Hawkeye. The secondary characters only had a few
Hulk
to work with. Nebula stands out.
The actress whose name
Karen
is
Gillan.
Karen Gillan. Her performance of Nebula is fantastic, and in both of the films with Nebula and Gamora, their arc is really moving.
I mean, they go from a complete yes, and this film actually highlights the arc that they have with the time skip and the time traveling, and you're like, oh right. We started out with them like a Fast and Furious style. They were hardcore enemies.
Hardcore.
So we go there. Tony leaves his last message to Pepper.
Yes.
And
it's super emotional. You see his damaged Iron Man helmet. They're running out of oxygen. He's been starving.
He's gaunt. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the gaunt. That's all CG. I'm assuming.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Again, really, really convincing. And seeing Robert Downey Jr. all gaunt like that is quite upsetting.
Beautiful piece of writing when she defers the food to him. When she puts him in the chair, he talks about when he dozes off one last time.
Yeah.
It tells you things are real.
Well, and like, so my expectation as a viewer coming into this movie is that people are going to die. A lot of people are going to die.
Right.
And that, at least Cap and Tony Stark, based on the meta commentary about who's coming back and all that, are something bad's going to happen to one or both.
Right.
And you expect that they're going to do the early death like they did with Idris Elba and Loki. And
I wasn't even thinking about that it might be the early death.
You want it to be the big death at the end, but like the not satisfying way to do it is to just right there. Anyway, so you go from there.
Captain Marvel saves them.
Yeah,
and so the stinger credit scene from Captain Marvel where she pops up and says, "Where's Fury?" That's not actually in the movie.
No,
I thought an interesting choice. They assume you've seen that.
Yeah,
and then they immediately bring you back to the compound where Pepper's there, and they reunite the team.
Yeah,
relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's again super emotional.
It's intense. Yeah.
Well, it's the first time that they get together. The scene that you're talking about is when they're at the table, when Tony Stark has the IV, he's gaunt, and he...
Isn't there a scene with Scarlett Johansson and Cap before that?
No, that's
because there's a moment where I sat there and I was like, "Oh man, Scarlett Johansson's had a bad."
Scarlett Johansson
that's 5 years
also.
later.
Oh, that's after this time skip. Okay.
Scarlett Johansson, by the way, also in both Infinity War and Endgame, does the best acting of her acting across the whole series. I think she shows all this wonderful complexity of Nat's character.
I think that there's like Winter Soldier. She's excellent. Like there's a moment that she becomes a fully fledged character in Winter Soldier. And this is the culmination of that.
Yeah, I agree. And I like the way they shot her with less obvious makeup. They made her look a little plainer, which is sort of, I think, stood in for
and more
the level of
hair.
exhaustion she had, kind of holding a lot of this stuff together.
It's very clear that the weight of, hey, we met, like, actually, they're all carrying that weight in different ways. Like, you look at how Cap is going out and trying to make the world a better place because that's what he does.
Yeah.
Tony Stark has gone full on mad.
Yeah.
Well, you're jumping ahead.
I am jumping, but
also,
I mean,
let's be clear: we're not going to get a beat. This podcast
we
won't
can't do
achieve a
beat
beat by beat
no.
walkthrough of the film.
But
that's the next. That's we have
the big emotional thing is the confrontation, because even though there's hugs when Tony Stark comes back, there's a "I told you so."
And Tony's really pissed at Cap, and I thought that denouement, that discussion between them was really intense and felt really real.
Yeah.
I mean, that's resolving the stuff that started with Civil War, right?
Yeah.
With the Sokovia business
And Ultron.
and Ultron. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're always Cap and Tony always have an inimical relationship.
All right, they suit up.
Yeah.
They go to Thanos' planet.
Which again was like, wow, this is all happening much quicker than I thought it would.
Well, this is gonna 3 hours. How are they gonna make this work?
Cut off his arm. Cut off his head. That was the big shock.
Cutting off his arm.
At least Thor learned a lesson this time,
Yeah, that truly.
right?
Right. Yeah, Fat Thor.
Hold on. Okay, so they cut off his head.
They cut off his head.
Captain Marvel goes back to outer space. Everybody else goes back to Earth. Life goes on as it was.
Yeah.
They fast forward 5 years later. Shit has been bad. It is very clear that it has not been a good 5 years.
No.
What does it open with that Cap support session?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way they laid it out too, there's a meta commentary going on when you do the jump to 5 years later, because it cuts to black, and then the word 5, and then the word years, and then the word later, and it's really slow. That is the Russos playing on your second guessing expectations. Yeah.
And they
Did you guys
reconcile
know
the
there was a
time
time
line.
skip? I didn't know there was a time skip.
I didn't know. I had no idea.
No, and I think that helps get back to 2019.
I managed in this film to see not a still, not a trailer, not a single spoiler of any kind.
The only thing I saw in one of the trailers was them all wearing the time suits.
I saw a still of the time suits and knew that there was something they were doing that was new together.
They have uniforms.
But that was it.
I thought they were.
That was. I
X-Men.
just saw that, and I was like, okay, so that means
Okay.
Okay.
So they time skip.
Cap and Black Widow have their moment. Cap running the support group is a callback to Falcon running the support group in the VA. That's a continuation of that relationship, even though he's not there anymore. Then Ant-Man comes back. Surprise, San Francisco.
So that was the thing at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp, is that
he disappears into
Scott's
the
in the quantum zone,
Yeah.
and everybody that's supposed to pull the button to bring him back gets dusted.
The rat that saved the universe. Thank you, Rat, for running over that control panel.
Yeah.
And
Right.
activating the retrieval protocol.
It's really the only Deus Ex Machina in the movie, kind of.
Even
for a time travel movie, it's really saying something.
Yeah.
So that whole sequence
This is
with
true.
Scott,
This is true. I've been watching a lot of movies lately that violate Pixar's axiom that it's fine to use a coincidence to get your character into trouble, but it's never okay to use one to get them out.
Yeah.
And the MCU has been pretty good about that.
In San Francisco, they have the memorials, the names of everyone. That's a lot of Easter eggy names from a production crew.
Oh, was it?
That were there.
That's cool.
Also, in the cage where the van was, it says Lang 616, and 616 is the Marvel universe that the comic books live in.
that's
Oh,
MCU.
nice.
A little bit. You have a cameo from Ken Jeong, the comedian.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, he was the
He was
Yeah.
the
the
security
guard.
guard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't recognize him.
Yeah, I did.
And then,
But I just watched The Hangover.
Living your best life, Adam.
first choke up moment, crying out moment for me when
What,
he
you
finds
didn't
his
cry at
daughter.
the Hawkeye moment?
No, I cried at the daughter
Oh my
moment.
God,
the daughter when he finds Cassie and she's 5 years
yeah.
older, and they have a reunion. That's the first moment where I lost it.
I could imagine.
I also thought
making
that those.
run.
Paul Rudd's a wonderful actor. I was talking to a director recently who's cast him, and I was like, isn't it fun? Like how good he looks at 50, and the director was like, Paul Rudd is way handsomer than anyone I think has quite realized.
Yeah. Well, like
he's such a good actor, though. The way he delivers that scene is amazing.
And he, like, this is a movie full of really incredible performances in an incredible ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he came in late to the MCU too, and he owns this character. This character there's no other person who can be this character.
It's totally true. And yeah.
So he goes, finds Scarlet Witch, or finds Nat, tells him about his idea, stuck in his head, time travel. They need to find someone smart. They go find Tony. And here's the other big twist and shock. Tony has moved on. He's the only one
who's fully moved on.
He
and Pepper are together. They have a 5-year-old daughter,
Morgan, and it calls back to Infinity War, the dream he has in the beginning. Yep. He actually is the only one who can move on, and that makes it the toughest choice for him to go back.
Who would have thought that Tony's the one that can move on, right? Of all of them, because he's the one that has consistently held on to the loving embrace around what is it he says in Ultron, the shield of armor around the world.
Yeah.
Like he puts that aside after they lose and goes and starts a human life.
Ooh, before the time skip, I really, really, really dug the sultry stare down between Thor and Captain Marvel. I thought that there was some delightful sexual tension there between those two. Both of them being gods made me very excited for a potential future.
Yeah, like a Thor, Captain Marvel, Hulk buddy cop romp through outer space sounds pretty good,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tony says no. Tony can't do it. He can't give up.
Tony denies. Yeah,
save what they've lost and give up what he's gotten.
So there's two things that happen with this. He's not willing to go back in time and change time. It's before they established the time travel rules, which I think was my favorite, like, non-huge scene in the movie.
It was really good.
But he, it's he's done with that life. He burned Pepper too many times, and they fast forward. Later on, they come back, and he can't let it go. He figures it out. He fixes it.
Well, she says he
and
can't
she's like,
rest.
you have to do it.
Well, and again, that's that last thing, that bit in Infinity War that's so intense is when he calls her. From the ship, and she says, "You are not on that ship." And I'm getting chills as I describe it. She knows it's the only thing he can do.
Yeah.
That is what he has to do, and she's so mad about it. I thought that was a lovely moment.
It was really good.
That dichotomy she has to deal with.
We've all talked about the time machine scenario. Like, when would you take the time machine, and when would you not take the time machine?
Also, by the way, I just want to state, like, Gwyneth Paltrow is doing terrible things for the world with Goop and the snake oil that she sells, but I love Pepper Potts.
Well, she's the original Marvel girlfriend, and she's the most Marvel girl. Like, I understand why Natalie Portman doesn't come back and be Thor's girlfriend anymore. I understand why. What's her name? Liz. Who's Bruce Banner? Who played Bruce Banner's girlfriend in the first Hulk?
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler.
Right.
I understand why she doesn't come back and play Bruce Banner's girlfriend anymore. Pepper Potts. Gwyneth Paltrow's okay.
Her name's on the list.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Going back to Tony denies.
Tony denies. They need to find a brain of equal measure, and there's your third shock. Spoiler. Smart Hulk.
Bruce Banner has figured out a way to make Hulk work.
And he's such a goober.
And he's wearing
a huge goober
sweater.
He's wearing clothes
so
now.
tight.
He's eating a giant thing of eggs and pancakes. He's taking selfies,
with people
dabbing.
in the diner.
His confidence level here is just great direction. Because
and it's a lovely arc for Bruce, who spends so many of the movies going like, I don't like this whole, right, all of that stuff.
Very nervous, shy, furtive. This is outgoing Hulk.
It was. And you saw the first glimpse of outgoing Hulk in Ragnarok. Where he's not fire like I like fire.
Angry girl.
Yeah.
But like this, like I miss the fight between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Like I miss Bruce Banner waking up after a few years on Sakaar and being like, what the hell's going on, man?
But we've seen that.
I know. I mean, it's good growth for the characters. And I think they played it right. I think they played it exactly right. I'll take more Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner / the Hulk any day.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they do a bunch of tests, a bunch of jokes. I think you have the three characters that have the comedy roles: Ant-Man, Hulk, and Thor. Yeah. And they carry enough of the comedy throughout. In fact, Rocket is less comedy and more drama.
Rocket. So
Rocket's kind of a dick.
Rocket is totally a dick, but Rocket's damaged, and I appreciate. For me, one of the most surprisingly moving moments, and I'm jumping way forward in this, is when Rocket and Nebula briefly hold hands to support each other.
That's right at the beginning.
I found that a
They're the family they
shocking
have
and
left.
beautiful moment.
There are two moments. One, when Tony Stark and Nebula return, Tony's pulled away, taken to get diagnosed, and then Rocket goes up Nebula and sit next to her, and he puts her hand on her because they're all that's left.
Well, and
of
I
their
think that
weird
Rocket
family.
has a history in the MCU of embracing the most damage, whether it's Yondu or Nebula, and really being honest with them about
or Thor.
or Thor.
In
Yes,
Ragnarok, yeah.
yes, right. Especially when in actually with Thor in Infinity War, when he's like, "You don't seem like you're okay," and Thor's like, "No, I'm totally fine." You're like,
This is
"No,
all I have left."
I don't think you're fine.
And then later on in the big battle, when Groot gets hurt, when the fire comes from the skies, he jumps on top of Groot to shield Groot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so the thing is, Rocket's whole thing is, I don't need anybody, I don't need anybody, I don't need anybody, except he realizes somewhere, I think in the second Guardians movie, that probably he does need people.
He
and
does.
it's
The
kind of
Yondu's.
important.
I'm still surprised by how moving the Yondu Rocket scene is in Ragnarok.
No, in
Guardians 2.
Guardians 2. Yeah.
Tony Stark figures out time travel and first that movie is stripped because that's how it works. I Love You 3000. Great little motif.
Yep.
Yeah.
Little
It's
nice little moment.
That like, as a father of a 6-year-old, that is right
in that
right in the
zone.
wheelhouse right now.
Yep.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Tugging those heartstrings.
Dad feels.
They need a team. You got a team figured out, right? You get a great comedy moment of like War Machine landing the taco with Ant-Man.
You also get this line. Wait a minute. So you're telling me Back to the Future was just bullshit?
So the dial that is right up there with like the hammer in Ultron. The hammer scene in Ultron where they're all trying to lift the hammer.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
We'll get to that. But like all of those moments where you just see the superheroes being people and doing people things are kind of my favorite parts of these movies that are about a lot of punching and
Well, and you remember that Joss Whedon talked extensively about how hard he fought to keep the scene in
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron on Hawkeye's farm.
yeah.
That it was a breath that the film needed. And I think it's a testament that the films have so many of those breaths within them because, watching, I find it so devastating and awesome when Black Widow says to Cap, do you really think you can punch your way out of this?
That's the Captain America and Tony so competitive that they have to compete over how much wood they can chop when there's no chance Tony wins.
Put on the suit. Put on the suit.
Yeah.
Put on the suit.
All of that. Like it's those moments that make these movies. If you don't have those moments, these movies aren't good.
Yeah.
Ant-Man thinks Die Hard has time travel in it. It doesn't.
Like and also the
But
lovable
again, that's
idiots.
5 years in the future, so Die Hard's even farther in the past.
Yes, right. Hey everyone, Norm here. Before we continue on with this week's conversation, I want to let you know that Still Untitled, the Adam Savage project, is brought to you this week by TripleByte. Because applying to programming jobs sucks. You have to put in the right keywords in your resume, you spend hours and hours on phone screens and take-home projects, and that's assuming the company even responds to your application. Well, if you're a software engineer, TripleByte can help. They work with over 400 top tech companies, from big names like Dropbox and Adobe to exciting startups. You do one brief online interview with them, and if you do well, you get to go straight to final interviews with the companies on their platform. It's like the common app for software engineers. TripleByte does not look at your resume or where you went to school. All they care about is if you can code, because you are more than just a sheet of paper or a signature on a diploma. You are your skills and your abilities. Apply now at triplebyte.com/untitled. That's TripleByte, B-Y-T-E, byte as in 8 bits. And as a special offer for listeners of the show, if you take a job through TripleByte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus. All right, back to the conversation.
You have incredibly smart characters. You have Shuri, you have Banner, you have Tony, you have Tom Holland, Peter Parker. All of these geniuses. You also have the knuckleheads and the knuckleheads make it good. It's all balance.
Well,
It's
speaking
like
of
Thanos
knuckleheads,
wanted.
they need to build a team. They go to New Asgard. Now, the Easter egg here is that New Asgard is set in Norway, on the small island where Red Skull found the original Tesseract.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. It's a
Nicely
real
done.
town.
Cut.
40,000 people live there, and also where Odin fought the Frost Giants way back in Thor 1.
Oh.
You want to call back then.
Wow.
So New Asgard's there. I love that they're wearing Patagonia normal clothes, fishing.
I loved seeing Tessa Thompson. I love her so
Angry
much,
Girl.
Valkyrie.
Yep.
So is her name Valkyrie?
It's
Valkyrie.
unclear. I mean, it is now. She didn't have a name.
But she is a Valkyrie.
Yes.
I think she's the
technically,
Valkyrie
yes.
now.
But
probably.
okay.
But I mean, so in Ragnarok they called her Angry Girl. They called her Scrapper 147, I think.
Yeah.
And then they called her Valkyrie, but
Yeah.
they never really called her Valkyrie in the first.
No,
Ragnarok.
it's almost like Captain Marvel. They're not named Captain Marvel.
No, and
It's
she
just
rides a Pegasus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a Pegasus. So
Thor, Meek, and Korg.
So okay, Fat Thor. I think Fat Thor is cheap. Like just generally, like it's a good laugh. I laughed in the theater, but I think hey, guy fucked up saving the universe and is broken and is drinking himself to death in the same way that Valkyrie was doing it in Ragnarok. Make him fat. Kind of a cheap shot.
I laughed out loud. Look, Chris Hemsworth is amazing at playing the slightly less intelligent heroic character. And
Oh, yeah.
actually going back to Infinity War, the moment when he shows up and Drax is like a handsome muscular man, and
Angel.
Chris is like I'm a muscular. And he's like they're one sandwich away from fat.
That's another one of those good. That's another one of those human moments. Yeah.
Yes, so good. So I laughed out loud. I thought it was a great arc at the beginning. I thought Thor being fat throughout the whole film got a little tiring.
Well, I'm glad
it
that he
went
just
too
have
long.
magic weight loss.
Right.
It wasn't
Yeah,
like-
and it did, though.
He didn't grab. No, they
He
tightened
put
it
on
up.
the armor and had a girdle all of a sudden.
I mean, the armor is.
What are Thor Spanx?
Yeah,
They're made
exactly.
out of titanium.
That's right. Magic Spanx.
Hey, now you have a thing.
He grabbed the hammer and he got braided beard.
That was pretty good. Okay, so
that was also neat. Yeah,
Yeah.
just the braiding. I guess it's an extra feature of the hammer.
I mean,
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi
always,
as Rock.
forever
As
and
Korg.
always. Yeah, my favorite.
Oh, hello! And they're
Great.
playing Fortnite.
Yep.
Fortnite, they're out of pizza rolls.
They're
Are you
yelling at
the Cinemax is out. Do you have like you get that he has not taken the loss to Thanos.
No.
Oh,
Not at
very
all.
lightly. I mean, it's very on the nose. They don't say his name, and it's another moment for Banner's confidence to shine. When Thor gets angry, Banner takes his hand off of him, and he doesn't use strength. They don't fight it out.
No.
They
They
have
use
a
their
heart-to-heart
words.
moment, and
So explain to me, something I missed about that scene. I might have been looking away or something, but so Banner says, "Take your hand off me," right?
yeah, in a moment where he knows Thor is getting heated and Thor is being triggered, and
Okay.
Thor in that moment would normally resort to fighting.
Triggered in the psychotherapy sense,
Right,
not in
right,
the
right.
common vernacular.
Yeah.
And he confidently takes his hand off of him and then uses his words to say, "You help me in a time of need. Let's help each other."
Yeah.
They're buddies.
Yeah.
So
Plus, there's
awesome.
beer on the ship.
Yeah. When the bribe works.
Okay,
So time travel.
We're
Let's do
gonna
it.
we're gonna have to
Yeah, we got to go fast.
about 10,
Okay.
15 minutes here.
We just did the second part in like 2 weeks. People love that shit. I mean, it all works out in the end. Everything's happy at the end. Game over.
I want to talk about the hammer, but let's get to time travel.
Okay, they
first.
jump back to different movies, callbacks. You have, I thought the
This
other
was my-
big emotional moment, Freya in Dark World,
Yeah.
the one that no one likes,
Renee
bookended by
Russo.
Thor's.
I love Renee Russo.
I love the Ancient One, Tilda Swinton. I can't believe.
The Ancient One, the conversation between Banner and the Ancient One might be one of my favorite conversations in the whole film.
The pairing
It's
of
very
they
good.
paired the right people together.
Yeah.
Tilda
Right.
Swinton, I mean, just being where he's like, "No, I'm going to take it." She's all like,
luck,
"Let me
motherfucker."
explain what power
Let me
really looks like."
push you to the astral plane, and then she does the Doc Brown chalkboard explanation of the timeline.
Yes.
And which the rules are different, not Back to the Future rules. But it doesn't matter what you do as long as the stones are in place. If the stones are in place, time will reconcile itself. Accept it, deal with it, That's the
I
end.
love that they say Back to the Future rules are bullshit, and then they completely do the Back to the Future thing and put all the people in their pasts where they have to avoid interacting with their past selves. It's absolutely lovely.
I thought it was hilarious. Again, this is part of what we were talking about, the walk down memory lane of all the Marvel films. I thought it was hilarious to go spend so much time with Cap in what I think is my least favorite of Captain America's uniforms, the Avengers uniform, with the spangly bits right here on the shoulders.
It's not good. He fights himself in it.
No, and that fight with him and himself, again, I can do this all day. Yeah, I know.
That and the callback to the elevator sequence from Winter Soldier.
The callback to the elevators.
They shot it
and
exactly
the call
the
forward
same.
to the comic books with Hail Hydra.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, the director told me to get this.
No, they're bad. They're with Hydra, but we don't know that yet.
They had a shawarma reference. I mean,
I missed the shawarma reference.
Thor says, we're going to get lunch and then back to Asgard. Quick lunch. So Loki escapes. So this is how Loki survives.
Loki escapes, right? So we know Loki shows up. Do we get a Captain America goes around delivering the stones back to their original places movie?
Man Lost in Time. Why not?
I would love to see that movie.
Well,
yeah,
look,
he's kind of hung the shield up though.
The sequence with Ant-Man getting old and young establishes that they can make people any age they want.
Right.
So
So all the movies they go back. They go to Morag, Guardians of the Galaxy. Star-Lord singing with no one hearing him.
It's so good.
That's so good. When bad singing, he's a moron. Nebula gets corrupted. Thanos comes back. 2014 Thanos. They get back to the present. They snap the finger. I think it was. We got to talk about the Hawkeye Black Widow scene.
Yes, the Hawkeye Black Widow scene. I really liked it.
Every time Hawkeye and Black Widow have fought before, Black Widow wins.
Oh, wow.
So you know that coming into that movie. They've only fought once.
Right.
They fought in the
Yes, when he was Loki got
brain control.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think they did enough back and forth to fool you into thinking, to not
they did.
being able to pick who was going to do it. And the fact that it was her, it made sense. You see it on his face, not her death, his anguish.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him earn the Soul Stone.
Well, this is the moment too that reinforced the people who got snapped were the lucky ones in this whole thing, because the people who were left behind are going to be irreparably damaged, even if everybody's snapped back from a five-year absence.
You have some great closure. They go back to 1970s. You have your Stanley cameo.
This is such a good bit.
And then you have Tony Stark with the closure he needs with his father, John Slattery, playing Howard Stark.
Lovely scene, a lovely scene. And the digital aging and de-aging has gotten so refined. I mean, Sam Jackson, literally in 20 years, when our kids' will start watching these films, they're going to be confused about when Captain Marvel came out.
It was made in 1996.
Right,
clearly.
because of Sam Jackson's face. And this film, the de-aging, has been so amazing.
And also, as all three of us are fathers, like that moment where a son is talking to his father, with the father not knowing it before he's born.
No amount of money can buy another second.
That was it.
I know
that was a choke-up moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I talked to my future dad in the past, no, that's not it. When I talked to my anyway, it doesn't matter.
Thor and Freya, hilarious moment. I totally am from the future.
That's so good.
You can't lie to your mom, man. Even Thor can't lie to his mom.
I was raised by witch's boy. I see more than you know. Yeah. I loved that. Again, there are ways in which the heavily powerful characters in the MCU reveal their power without ego that I find really delightful.
It so annoys me that she got nothing to do in those movies.
Like, Renee Russo is a national treasure.
Right. She's amazing.
I love her.
She's amazing. She's like got 5 scenes.
She's amazing.
And then
Get Shorty and the Thomas Crown affair. And she's, oh my God. No, she's an amazing actress. And you're right.
Okay. So
shortchanged.
They come back to the present. They snap. People come back. Hawkeye gets the phone call. Family's coming back. Huge emotional moment.
Yeah.
Cut short. Thanos comes. Big battle. All right. Now we can talk about the final battle.
So up until this point, surprisingly not very punchy movie. Like we used to. I remember when
a lot of groundwork being laid,
and people talking.
Like 90 minutes of groundwork being laid.
And it didn't feel like 90 minutes of groundwork.
No, it did not.
I'm interested to see what it feels like on this. You've seen it twice.
Yeah, it goes by real fast.
When Thanos showed up for that, what turns out to be the final battle, I was like, well, there's got to be another battle after this. We haven't seen enough movie yet.
So I felt like when they hacked into Nebula and were like seeing through the other Nebula's
that really
eyes,
so upset me. I mean, it's a great plot twist.
Oh, it's very good. I didn't see it coming at all. And and I felt like we were reaching the climax at that point. I felt like we were there, right? I felt like that was the movie. Anyway,
my favorite part of the final battle is Cap picking up Thor's hammer.
Oh, no, not just picking it up, calling it.
Right. And there's a couple of things about Cap that I love. I read an analysis of why in Infinity War, when Thanos comes down with the glove and Cap stops it, apparently the glove responds to the will of who's touching it.
Oh.
And because Cap's will is so strong, that's why he's able to hold the glove up, surprise Thanos, and that's why Thanos then uses his other hand to bat him away.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
In Ultron, when they're all trying to move the hammer and Cap moves it ever so slightly and Thor looks like
worried,
concerned.
like I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Asgard is doomed.
I heard a fan theory that I now believe entirely, which was that Cap has always been able to move the hammer because he has always been worthy, and he's known it, but he didn't want to hurt Thor's feelings.
I like that.
Oh,
theory
I
as well.
love that.
And that's why Thor
so good.
says, "I knew it."
Right.
Right. The other theory is that Cap absolves himself of the guilt of the Bucky lie. That's why he's worthy. Then I don't believe that. I think he's always worthy.
I think
he's always been worthy.
He's always the best of us.
He is the purest. And
We skipped something important.
Yeah.
When they're talking about who does the snap, and Hulk, Thor's like, I should do it. I can handle it, and everybody's like, step.
You're
another
not a good
fat
place.
joke, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they hit the he does the snap and it wrecks him.
Right.
I mean, it's bad for the Hulk.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's that is a.
You know, he did say it's mostly gamma radiation, which was canonical since in the Avengers 2012, he is brought in to search for the
He's
stone.
the expert.
Right. Because he's
it's
the expert in gamma. Oh,
radiation.
right. Well done.
I expected that to be a point that somebody died.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So big fight. The big three walk up. There's a great little montage which calls back to the first time they fought each other in the forest.
Yeah.
Except it's them three fighting Thanos. A huge moment. You have the trailer faked you out because if you guys watch the trailer, the shot where he's tightening the shield, it's a full shield.
Yeah.
In the movie, it's the cracked shield.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point.
Cracked shield makes me sad, by the way.
This was my
The crack shields, and it makes me like I want to know what Thanos' blade is made from.
probably something stronger than my dad. I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
At that moment.
Totally.
Overwhelmed when he stands alone against the forces of Thanos and it's one against the infinite.
You're talking about Cap.
Cap, yes. And then you hear the static. You hear
Realize
Sam.
it's- I'm getting
Sam
choked up.
Wilson say, Cap, Steve, can you hear me? And then he calls back to the beginning of Winter Soldier, where Cap runs around in Washington D.C. and he goes
Right.
on your left, on your left, and
Oh, is that
Sam
what-
goes on your left, and then the circle opens, and I'm getting choked up. It's the silhouettes, and it's not a strut. It's not like a hero's out.
No.
fist. It's a slow walk. It's almost angelic.
And it's Cap when he walks up to the fight.
No. It's Black Panther and Shuri.
Oh,
And they're almost like ghostly, and it's almost like this. Is it a vision or something?
Right, but in that,
But it's the reinforcement. It's
you
okay.
realize that Doctor Strange has been brought back. He
not
understands
alone.
exactly what's
he
necessary.
portaled everybody in.
and he portals everyone into the battle.
And then
it's-
Tony asks him, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "I can't tell you, Tony."
Well, no, and
Oh,
then,
right,
and then Cap says, "Avengers assemble."
Avengers Assemble. I mean, the whole crowd where I was watching it all
Cheered, cheered, huge cheers.
total. And again, the way Cap says it, I mean, Chris Evans is such a wonderful. They're all such wonderful actors. I mean, that's the thing. Rewatching all these films as we all have done, it is a call out to how every single character in these movies, whether big or small, does incredible work, is well directed, well written, and just beautiful. And the way he delivers that, which is just sort of like this assemble, it's just I love that.
Okay, we gotta get to
the relay is the next big thing, right? I mean, they fight for a while.
They fight. There's great moments. Captain Marvel comes in. The women of Marvel, the superheroes of Marvel.
That's a lovely.
They come in. Peter Parker comes in. There's a big hug.
The reveal of Pepper Potts in the rescue suit is so
Dude,
good.
that's great.
I didn't know I needed Pepper Potts in the rescue suit.
You had it before,
Yeah.
you just forgot. Black.
Peter Parker comes in. He's very excited. He introduces himself to everyone. He gets the hug from Tony Stark that he never got from Homecoming when he tries to hug Stark, and Stark goes, "I'm just opening the door."
Yeah, I agree. I
Uh,
agree. That's so sweet. You're right.
Super sweet. He
And
gets
Tony-
the,
and
the
And that was the
Tony's
death
ready
he
to
took
dad
the
up at that
hardest.
point, too.
That was one of the deaths he took the hardest.
Oh,
was,
yeah.
was
Peter
Tom
Parker's.
Holland's. Yeah.
So, yeah.
we got to jump to the end. Tony Stark sacrifices himself.
Oh, the relay, that relay where they hand off through the whole history of Marvel, of the MCU, and it goes from let's see, when they're getting the glove to whoever it ends up with.
Hawkeye has it, and then
Yeah.
Black Panther comes in and goes, "Clint, give it to me." It's a callback to when Black Panther didn't even know Clint's name from the past movie.
Yeah.
And then Black Panther gets it. A very exciting
Captain
moment.
Marvel has it for a little bit. It goes through everybody.
And then and then Peter Parker has it. He gets the insta-kill mode.
Thanos gets it. He thinks.
Thanos gets it. Wasp and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
They get set up this little mission to set up the van.
Oh yeah, the van.
And they're so cute. There's this wonderful moment where Cap's like, "Someone get to the van," and then Wasp turns to Ant-Man and goes, "We're on it, Cap." And she's the one who gave him shit in Ant-Man the Wasp.
For
who calls him Cap? He goes, "That's what we call him." And she does it, and they look at each other and like, "Oh, we're doing it now."
Yeah.
They're so plucky.
I'm glad to see Wasp also fully among the assembled.
Well, that and every time they show Ant-Man like zoomed in when he's tiny, and then they cut to the wide shot, it's like plop. It's always good. Always
Yep,
good.
yep,
Anyway,
yep.
okay.
Okay, so Tony Stark kills himself.
Tony Stark sacrifices himself to make the
kill
snap.
all the bad guys.
Everyone keeps asking, well, how did he strip those stones out? I'm like, that's a glove. It's Tony Stark
Tony's glove,
technology.
exactly.
Of
It-
course,
it
I don't
literally-
have any problem
The
believing.
nanites pulled it, and you can see them being pulled up into his hand. His final line could not be more perfect.
I am Iron Man.
Right? I am inevitable. I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't say a thing after that. The three people go up to him. It's War Machine, his best friend.
Rhodey.
It's Peter Parker, his surrogate son, and then Gwyneth Paltrow. And then she calls back to the beginning of the movie, where she says, "We'll be okay." Like,
You can rest now.
you can rest. Oh.
You can, yeah.
Yeah.
So moving. They earned all
10
of
years.
those moments.
10 years in that scene.
And then they jump to the funeral, and I lost it because at the funeral, the proof that Tony Stark has
a
a
heart.
heart floats out, and then the camera pans through, and it pans through a grateful universe.
Oh, interesting.
What do you mean?
So Thanos says in the last movie, when he snaps his fingers, what happens? What his end game is? His goal is to wake up on a farm as the sun rises.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, he wants to finally rest and watch the sun rise to a grateful universe.
Norm, I really appreciate your
That's really
perspective
good,
on
Norm.
this. It's
I
really,
completely missed that.
And when the camera pans through, it's the universe he built.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
And so moving. I was afraid we were going to lose Cap.
I'm so glad Cap got the happy ending.
I'm so glad Cap got the happy ending. The older Cap coming back from the mission blew my mind. The aging of Chris Evans for that was some of the best, actually the best aging I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm so glad that he and Peggy got their
So if you watch it
just
again,
desserts.
Bucky knew.
Really?
When Bucky says goodbye to Steve Rogers, Cap's going to go on his mission. He has Mjolnir.
Really?
He
Yeah.
has the stones. Bucky's the only one who says, "I'm going to miss you. It's goodbye," because he knows
knows
that's
he's
the
not
last
coming back.
time he'll see Cap. Because
Fascinating.
presumably old Cap has then come back and let him know.
Oh,
I'm
right.
Okay.
And then
Well,
he
but-
passes
but-
the shield
And that's
to
why he
Sam.
doesn't need.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to go to the bench. He tells
Yeah.
Sam to go to the bench because
But-
Bucky knows.
But according to the rules of time travel, before he goes back, he wouldn't have been able to talk to Bucky.
Doesn't matter. It's a movie. Watch it again.
Okay, I'll go watch it
It's clear
again.
as day.
It's really clear. Okay.
We will talk about this film again.
Oh, my
We're
God.
all
Yeah.
going to see it again between now and the next time we sit down with a podcast. So we will talk about it even some more. We'd love to know your comments also about some of your favorite.
I want to know what the moment was like after. Is it like the theater? Our theater had big signs that said "Get the fuck out" after the movie.
Right.
There's no post credit scene, so they
Oh,
played it
no, they didn't say
and
that
Get
in
the next
ours.
people in. People were walking out like crying, shell shocked, mascara everywhere. Like there were spoilers written on the face of every person that left that
Yes.
theater.
It's so
But
beautiful.
also, like it was silent.
Yeah.
People weren't talking. Usually,
I-
people talk at the end of these
I totally
movies.
agree with you. Yeah, it was the same. It was a very quiet exit.
I'll leave you one last Easter egg. The credit sequence has so many names because there's so many guest stars that appear in this movie. When they get to the final Avengers, they do it in a really loving and tribute where they have the silhouettes of the characters and you have the autographs of the actors.
I thought that was
Oh,
really
I didn't
interesting.
see-
And
Yeah.
that's actually a callback to what they did in Star Trek The Undiscovered Country, Star Trek 6,
Oh,
the last
really?
original Star Trek film.
Oh.
The credits were done that way, and Kevin Feige is a noted Star Trek fan.
Dude,
And so
Norm
they
is
wanted to have
unpacking the
those.
deep cuts.
Deep cuts, yeah. You should go see this. This
You should
movie's
go
really
see
good.
this.
I'm
If,
gonna
you,
go see
if
it
you've been
again.
listening to all this with the
I'm
spoilers,
sorry.
you should still go see it.
Yeah.
And that's it. We recorded this out of order, so hopefully you've seen it. We'll hopefully be back next week with another episode.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye. Thanks for listening this week, and I want to remind you that Still Untitled is made possible this week by the fine folks at Triple Byte. Applying to programming jobs, sucks. From endless applications to countless hours of technical screens, with Triple Byte, there's a better way. You do one online interview, then you get to go straight to final interviews at hundreds of companies, from tech giants like Dropbox to exciting startups. It's like the common app for software engineers. No resume needed. Apply now at triplebyte.com/untitled. And if you take a job through TripleByte, they'll offer you a $1,000 signing bonus. That's pretty good. TripleByte, BYTE.com/untitled. We'll see you next week.